Man, so I got this long video to do now. I got a music review to do this weekend, a movie review, and a video game review. That's on top of the fact that I still have my video that I mentioned about my favorite TV shows growing up that I still have to edit. Sorry, that's not out yet. And that's before next week when Taylor Swift drops her new album, and that's going to be huge. Your boy has been busy. Man, I should be getting paid for this. Oh well, I enjoy making content regardless of who watches it, so let's do that right now. Welcome back to I Want to Talk About, the series where I take a topic, I sit on camera, and I blabber about it. And you know the drill, it's that time of year. As you can tell from the title, today I want to talk about the PlayStation State of Play for September 2025. You know how it goes, it's September, it's PlayStation State of Play season, there's always one around this time. Again, they're not huge shows, so I'm not going to waste too much time on the intro. I will say this year's shows have largely been pretty good, and I've enjoyed my time with them, but I wasn't sure what to expect going into this one, and after watching it, yeah, it really wasn't that good. As always, I have my notes here, so I'm just going to run through what was shown. Again, very short intro this time around. There's not much context to set up or anything like that. But we kicked off the show with the one thing that was teased beforehand, a proper gameplay reveal of Saros. This was announced at the February State of Play, or whenever, I think it was February, the early year State of Play, as the newest game from Housemarque, the team behind Returnal. I wasn't that crazy about Returnal, but this game looks pretty cool. It's kind of like Returnal, but without the things that made that game really hard for someone like me who doesn't play a lot of super challenging games. It looks like there's more of like a permanent progression system in some ways this time around. So where that game was a little more like a roguelike, this one is more like a roguelite. Looks pretty cool, and as I mentioned in my previous video when I talked about this game back in February or whenever it was, Rahul Kohli plays the lead role and he looks badass. Really happy for him getting into the game, and I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on this one. Again, I know I wasn't that crazy about Returnal, but this one does look very cool, and it's coming out March 20th, so good to have that as an early 2026 game to look forward to. Moving on from there, we got to look at Zero Parades for Dead Spies, the newest game from Zaum, the team behind Disco Elysium, and wouldn't you know it, it looks like Disco Elysium. I know that it's basically a spiritual successor, but it really kind of just looks like the same game to me, and as someone who never really played the original game, it wasn't really my kind of game. This really didn't do all that much for me. I'm sure others are excited about it, but for me, all this announcement did was make me learn and research the development team at Zaum and some of the issues that they've been going through, and the fact that pretty much many of the heads that made Disco Elysium aren't there anymore. I could have read it wrong, but from what I saw, it almost looks like this game is kind of being released out of obligation. They must have just done so much work on it that they're like, alright, here. I hope that doesn't affect the quality of it though, but it's coming out sometime in 2026, so we'll probably have a little more time to get a look at it, hopefully sooner rather than later. Next up, one of those announcements that will never not melt my brain in some way, even if it's a game I don't really care very much for. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 coming to PlayStation. This popped up and I kind of derisively was like, Microsoft Flight Simulator's coming to PlayStation. And it turned out I wasn't kidding. Like I was just making a simple joke, but it turns out, yeah, Microsoft Flight Simulator is the next Xbox game that's coming to PlayStation. A game with the word Microsoft in the title is now coming to a PlayStation console. How about that? Again, I've mentioned it in previous videos, these games don't really do much for me, so yeah, again, the only thing exciting about this to me was the sheer fact that not only is another Xbox game coming to PS5, but like I said, one that literally has the word Microsoft in the title. Welcome to Bizarro World. Halo, you're next. I stand by it. I think that's coming to PlayStation and maybe Switch 2 sometime soon. But yeah, this is coming December 8th, so that's cool if you're into it. The thing that was more interesting about it to me is that they mentioned that they're going to be adding VR2 gameplay to it, which honestly sounds really cool. Again, I know that the VR2 has been such a waste for PlayStation and they've really done nothing with it, but a game like this that's as detailed and beautiful as it is probably looks really damn good in VR. I mean, if Gran Turismo's anything to go by and how good that game looks in cars in VR, I can't imagine what this game will look like in VR with planes and stuff like that. I'm sure that's going to be pretty dope. But anyway, moving on from there, we then got a trailer for Battlefield 6, which this is the first time in any of these videos I'm really talking about Battlefield 6, so that's something. But yes, after watching this video, guess what? It looks like Battlefield. Like, I'm glad the game is actually going to have a campaign this time around, but outside of Battlefield 1, the franchise really hasn't done anything to excite me since, like, the Bad Company games, which even then I jumped on way later. And obviously, it's pretty easy to feel burned after what happened with 2042 and its disastrous launch. And even with the quote-unquote gameplay that they showed during this trailer, it kind of looked like the way that they showed the gameplay for 2042 when that was shown off at the Xbox show back in 2021. So I'm really not getting my hopes all the way up. Like, I'm hearing some... Actually, I don't even know. Am I hearing good or bad things about it? I don't even know. I feel like I've heard stuff about it, but I haven't really, like, thought much about Battlefield 6. And honestly, this feels like one of those games that I'm probably going to play once it comes to Game Pass sometime next year, because you know that EA Play and Game Pass are together, so the EA games eventually come to Game Pass. So yeah, this feels like a game that, even though it's coming out very, very soon, October 10th to be precise, it's probably one of those games that I will play next year when I don't have to pay $70 or whatever it's going to be for it. Moving on from there, an announcement that was really cool on paper, but after really looking at it and not really so sure about it, kind of like that Donkey Kong DLC from the Nintendo Direct, we got the announcement of Deus Ex Remastered. This is a really exciting idea for a remaster, but honestly, after looking at the gameplay again a couple times, the upgrade doesn't really look very good. I don't even know if I'd call it a remaster because it doesn't really look that much better than the original version. Apparently the game is being developed by Aspyr and Eidos Montreal as like a co-production, yet this feels like the kind of game that's screaming for a developer like Night Dive to handle it. I've talked a lot about them in videos and in articles in my previous jobs and things like that, but Night Dive are the kings and queens of remastering games at this point. They are just royalty at it. And Night Dive, I think, would have turned this into something magical. Like, I'm still kind of interested in trying it out, seeing how well it plays, but yeah, this really could have used Night Dive's touch. And it seems like Night Dive itself even kind of believes that if this tweet from their lead engine developer, Samuel Villarreal, is anything to go by. Like, no disrespect to Aspyr, I know that they've ported and re-released a lot of games, but if you're bringing back like an older first-person shooter in like a remastered form, Night Dive should be the first studio that you turn to. Just saying. But yeah, it's coming February 5th. We'll see how it turns out when it releases, but yeah, not the best first impression. I'm excited for it on paper as a concept, but in practice, I'm a little bit skeptical. From there, we got a look at Halloween the game. Oh, look at that! Dead by Daylight, but with Halloween. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like so many horror games these days are just that, especially horror games that are based on, like, popular horror franchises and things like that. And I get it. DBD is really popular, but my mind goes to way cooler places when you tell me the words Halloween video game all in one sentence. Granted, it's made by Ilphonic, who are basically the kings of Dead by Daylight, but not games. I looked up their repertoire, and it's a lot of asymmetric multiplayer games that practically are Dead by Daylight, but with a new coat of paint. So I shouldn't be surprised, but yeah, really? Are they just kind of reskinning the same game 7 times over, only this time now it's Halloween? That's what it kind of feels like to me, at least. Apparently, there is going to be some kind of, like, single-player component to the game, but how confident am I that this single-player component is going to be anything more than a ham-fisted excuse campaign? Not very. And I think even if I was excited for the game, they kind of killed that excitement because when they were getting ready to announce it during the show, they were like, it's almost Halloween! And then they reveal that the game is coming out September 8th of next year. Way to kill the buzz. So yeah, not really an announcement that excited me very much. From there, we got a look at Last Epoch, a previously PC-only game from 11th Hour Games that's just now coming to PS5. It's like a time travel looter hack and slash type game. Apparently, this is a huge hit on PC, and I did not know that until after the show when I researched the game. And I guess in that case, it's cool that a game that popular is coming to a console, but nothing about the gameplay here really sings to me personally. I guess the coolest thing about it is that they announced that the game's first major expansion, Oribus, is going to be coming soon, and it's going to come out on the same day that the PS5 release of Last Epoch is going to come out. That's cool. Problem is, they just didn't give a release date. Not even like a range or anything. They were just like, yeah, it's in development, so I don't know how long it's going to take, but hopefully you guys are more excited about it than I am. From there, we got to look at the 7 Deadly Sins Origin, which is an open world game that's apparently based on like a manga slash anime that I've never heard of because I don't really follow many mangas or anime. And I guess based on what they showed, it is packed with a lot of stuff. It looks like it's going to be very feature packed, and it's probably going to be cool to people who are into the series. But for me, I just don't think it really stands out very much. It looks cute, and I'm sure it'll be fun to play, especially if you have friends to play it with, because while you can play it solo, you can also play it in like a 4-player co-op. But yeah, this really didn't move the needle for me at all either. But it is coming out January 28th, so that's a pretty cool game to look forward to early in the year. Next up, showing that probably would have been a little more exciting to me if it happened in, say, the June State of Play. But we got a bit of a reminder of Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, which I don't know why. Actually, I do know why, and I'm going to explain why, but they were showing the game off in the State of Play even though it released literally the day after. I don't feel like they needed to spend as much time on it during the show as they did, but really the big point of the show and the reason why they showed it is because they were announcing a new DLC pack for the game. The Mega Man DLC specifically, which includes Mega Man with the Rush Roadster and Proto Man, along with a Wily Castle course that does look pretty cool. This game does have some weird collaborations, which I guess Mega Man isn't that weird, but just looking at the roster of guest characters so far, I mean, there's Mega Man, there's Pac-Man, and SpongeBob? I mean, it seems cool, and I have heard good things about the game, and I've kind of wanted to try it myself, just not for $70. And I think this DLC is supposed to be a decent price, too. I thought I heard that it's like $20 or $30 for it, so yeesh. Hey, maybe if the game goes on sale or hits PS Plus or something like that, I'll give it a try. But yeah, the game itself is out, so if you're playing it, I hope you're having a good time. The Mega Man DLC pack is coming out next year, so that's something to look forward to then. From there, we got another look at Neo 3. Yeah, I've probably mentioned this game in a previous State of Play video. It might have been the last State of Play. But I've never really been that interested in Neo, and what was shown here was mostly cinematic, so it was probably never going to grab me. I know these games are very well liked, so it's cool to see it coming along, and it does look like the game will now give you the option between playing as either a ninja or a samurai, so that's pretty cool. Again, it's not going to make me want to buy the game, but I'm sure it's going to be a big one when it does come out, and we did get a release date for it, February 6th of next year, so pretty cool. Even if it's not my cup of tea, I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be really excited for it. I'm more interested in the next thing that they showed, which was a bit of a surprise to me. Dynasty Warriors 3 Complete Edition Remastered. This is pretty cool. I don't have a crap ton of experience with old school Dynasty Warriors. Again, most of my Dynasty Warriors experiences with Hyrule Warriors, but it is cool to see this game make a comeback. I know the series started as a fighting game and it changed to what it is now, so it doesn't surprise me that they're deciding to remaster this instead of the ones that came before it. And from what I understand, Dynasty Warriors 3 seems to be a fan favorite, so it is cool to see it come back. And I will say, the remastering job here does look very substantial, and unlike that Deus Ex remaster, it looks good. I may have to look into this one when it's ready to go. Maybe not like on day one or anything like that, but maybe at some point. It is coming out March 19th, helping to celebrate the game's 25th anniversary, so that's pretty sweet. Definitely going to keep an eye out for this one. Keeping it actiony, we then got a look at Code Vein 2. I don't know anything about Code Vein, so I'm not sure if it was a game that people were like begging for a sequel to, but it's here if you want it. Honestly, the gameplay looks decent to me, but the thing is, I think that Bandai Namco is a publisher that churns out games like this in its sleep. So for most of the trailer, I didn't even realize I was looking at a sequel to a pre-existing game. And to that end, if Bandai Namco wanted to give me a sequel to an action game that I would be excited about, Scarlet Nexus 2 probably would have been a little bit more hype. I mean, Code Vein 2 will probably be very good, but it'll also probably be something that I skip out on. Though it's coming out January 30th, so pretty cool to see some earlier games that are going to be pretty exciting, even if not to me. But then we got another time waster, another showing for Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. I've talked about this game in a few previous videos of Nintendo Directs and State of Plays, so I don't need to say much more about it again. I've already kind of mentioned that it's not really my kind of game, so I don't need to waste more time on that. Honestly, the fact that it's even in this show is one of those things I don't like that Sony does, and it's not just them. I've seen other people do it, other publishers and stuff like that, but it's still something that Sony does a bit that I don't like. Showing games that are practically days away from coming out. I understand needing to remind people of the game, and I'm sure it was a nice way to let director Kazutoyo Mihiro send a message to the fans, but it just felt like they really had nothing else to show and were just taking what they could get. I mean, the game comes out September 30th. As of the time we're recording, it's September 27th. There's a very good chance that by the time this video is out, you guys will already be playing the game. So, yeah, it just felt like a time waster. But after a time waster, we got an eyebrow raiser, because the next thing that they showed was Let It Die Inferno. And no, just to be clear, I too did not have a sequel to Let It Die anywhere near my State of Play bingo card. Or my 2025 bingo card. Or my life bingo card. Now, Let It Die was a free-to-play PS4 game released in 2016 by Grasshopper Interactive that was built off of a previously canceled game known as Lily Bergamo. And from what I understand, it actually did get a fair few downloads, but it seemed to be like a forgotten relic of the PS4 era. So it is shocking to me that it's getting a sequel, but then again, Grasshopper Interactive is giving like sequels and re-releases to pretty much all of its games recently, no matter whether you forgot about them or not, so I guess I really shouldn't be that surprised. All we need now is a Michigan Report from Hell re-release and then we'll be golden. Bring back my boy Briscoe. Oh my god! But either way, while the showcase of this game was at least entertaining, the game itself just doesn't really look that interesting to me, and I feel like I can't see it having much shelf life unless it also takes the free-to-play approach that the first game did, which it doesn't seem like it is. It seems like it's going to be a properly released game with no like free-to-play microtransaction type stuff like the first game did, which if it doesn't have microtransactions might actually be a bit of an improvement from the first game, from what I've heard at least. I mean, I'm sure it'll find an audience, but I just don't think I will be part of that audience. It is coming out December 3rd, so it will be out this year, and you guys will be able to try it then, and if I'm wrong, then I'll accept that I'm wrong. I hope the game ends up being fun, I just probably won't play it myself. But moving on to something I would like to play, we then got a look at Chronoscript The Endless End, a new debut game from Japanese developer Deskworks. This was honestly one of the most intriguing games of the entire show to me. It's like a 2D exploration-based adventure game where the character is like an editor and he's trapped inside of a manuscript trying to find his way out. It's kind of like a darker twist on something like The Plucky Squire, and it looks amazing. I'm a sucker for games that look like they're set inside of a storybook, and this one has a pretty dark but overall compelling aesthetic that's like 2D, but it's rendered in 3D, which is pretty incredible. It's very vivid and really arresting on the eye, and the platforming gameplay looks really good too. And the way that the main character transfers between parts of the manuscript through ink is also really incredible too. This is a game that's definitely on my radar. I'm very excited to see how it turns out. I just hope I don't forget about it, because sometimes indie games during these showcases, I'll be like, oh, it looks great, and then it'll just float to the back of my mind and I'll forget about it. And this one is coming next year, so I'll probably have to wait a bit for it, but I'm very excited. It looks awesome, and I really hope it turns out to be as awesome as it looks. I hope that wasn't a redundant sentence either. Then we got the showing of Crimson Desert, the new game from Pearl Abyss, the team behind the popular MMORPG Black Desert Online. Though, don't be fooled, despite the similar sounding names and the fact that this game started life as a prequel to Black Desert, it's not related to Black Desert as far as I know. Actually, quite the contrary, because unlike that game, which was an MMORPG, this game is an open-world single-player action-adventure game. I mean, that sounds cool, kind of up my alley, and given how popular Black Desert was, I fully expect that the team has enough budget to make this something great, but most of what was shown here, again, was cinematic, so it just kind of bounced off my brain as soon as it was shown. I think I'll need to see a more uninterrupted look at gameplay before I make a proper decision on whether I want to play it or not. It is coming March 19th of next year, so again, cool to have an early year game to look forward to. I think I just need to see a little bit more of it. Then on to the miscellaneous stuff, we got the showing of the Pulse Elevate wireless speakers. I mean, cool? Like, yes, wireless speakers are cool, and I'm sure these things are going to be dope and they're going to sound great, but honestly, did this need to be a multiple-minute long trailer? Like, do they really think people will be like, yeah, you know what that 35-minute state of play really needs? Speakers. Like, yeah, Sony only showed like 2 first-party games at the show, but did you see them speakers? I mean, again, they look cool, and I do like that there are 2 color variants, the Midnight Black and the white ones. The white ones look pretty clean. But again, it just felt like it wasn't really that much to be interested in, and I also wouldn't be surprised if these motherfuckers come out and end up being expensive. They're not coming until sometime next year, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. Then, as usual during these shows, we got some PlayStation Plus announcements, some new games coming to the service, including the October monthly games. We got Alan Wake 2, Goat Simulator 3, and Cocoon coming October 7th. That's pretty cool. Alan Wake 2 is a big one, so I'm sure a lot of people will be excited about that one. I do quite like that game myself. September 26th, which was yesterday by the time of this recording, though for you guys it'll probably be several days later, was Last of Us Day, so for Last of Us Day they decided to release The Last of Us 2 along with its remastered form on PS Plus, which is cool. I may replay the remastered version of the game if I feel like, you know, just being really sad. And then as far as PS Plus Classics, Tekken 3 and Soul Calibur 3 are going to be coming to PS Plus Classics later this year, which is awesome. And Tomb Raider Anniversary is coming to the Classics library as well. I had thought this was already there, but I was confusing it with Tomb Raider Legend. Still cool. Definitely some nice stuff to look forward to on PS Plus. Then from there we got the Gran Turismo 7 Spec 3 update. I know that Gran Turismo is a really big series, and as series creator Kazunori Yamauchi pointed out, it has sold 100 million copies, which is incredible. But once again, the more realistic your car game is, the less interested I am in it. I like my driving game with karts, or if they have to be realistic cars, just give me a new Burnout then. Let me crash some shit. I mean, the new content does look legit, and I'm sure this is going to be great fun, but again, it's not like I'm suddenly chomping at the bit to go buy Gran Turismo 7 now. But the new content is coming in December. I hope you guys that are more interested in Gran Turismo are excited for this more so than I am. Then a big one, the God of War 20th Anniversary controller. Yes, this is how the 20th anniversary of Sony's trademark franchise is going to be celebrated. Not with any kind of new content or even a cheap, quick remaster of the first 3 games, but with a controller. I mean, again, to be real, it's a nice looking controller. I mean, I kind of feel like if I needed a PS5 controller, I'd love to pick this one up, even though, again, it's probably pretty expensive because gaming accessories are so expensive these days. So yeah, really, really nice looking controller, but come on. God of War is one of Sony's most enduring, long-lasting, and important franchises. Even though I have some up and down takes on some of the God of War games, it's a hugely important franchise to Sony and by far one of their most significant. And this is what it gets for its 20th anniversary? Like, say what you will about Nintendo or anything it does, but just 2 weeks ago they announced like 4 Mario-based games and a movie for Mario's 40th anniversary on top of some cool physical merch. I know there was that God of War Dark Odyssey collection earlier this year that had some cosmetics for Ragnarok, but seriously, Sony really had nothing else for God of War's 20th? That's shocking to me. And another thing that's shocking is that there was no date given for this controller, at least during the show, because when I looked it up I saw it was coming out October 23rd, which is good. I'm glad it's coming out pretty soon, but yeah, why did they not even say the date during the show? That was pretty weird. But finally, we got to close out the show on a fantastic note because, again, even bad showcases can have some really exciting games, and this was the biggin'. This is the one we were all looking forward to, myself included, and I'm glad it was finally shown. I'm not even saying this to joke. Like, I'm building it up because it is really hype. We finally got a new look at Marvel's Wolverine. Finally. It only took 4 years. This was announced in 2021 at the PlayStation Showcase in September, and then they went dead quiet on it. But finally, it is here, and it damn near saved this boring-ass show. I'm not even like an expert on the X-Men or Wolverine or anything like that, but I've been hyped for this ever since I first heard it was happening. It's Insomniac Games making it, of course, and everything Insomniac touches turns to magic in my eyes. So for me, the idea of them handling a Wolverine game just sounded incredible. Especially because they have plenty of Marvel experience already. They've made 3 Spider-Man games, all of which were fantastic to me. Some may find it a bit controversial, but Spider-Man 2 was actually my game of the year in 2023. So I was pumped at them making a Wolverine game, and man, just looking at this trailer, someone asked Insomniac, how M-rated do you want this game to be? And they responded with yes, because this game is bloody as fuck, but it still looks so badass. It's really cool that they're going with a more unrestrained version of Wolverine here. And even though I could joke about how they spent like the last 10 minutes of the show going behind the scenes on this, this is a case where I'm not mad about that at all, because after 4 years of waiting, I will take 10 minutes of behind-the-scenes footage. Honestly, that shit's like Christmas to me. And again, the light bits of gameplay they showed did look really good. I know there's like that feeling of like some of it may be scripted, but I believe in Insomniac. They're really damn good at what they do. I know everyone next year is going to be hyped for Grand Theft Auto 6, of course. I'm not a huge GTA guy, but I know how significant that game's going to be. And for a lot of you, that game probably has Game of the Year locked up before 2026 even begins. But on a purely personal level, I would not be surprised if this game ends up being my Game of the Year next year. I'm so pumped for it. It looks great, and damn, Marvel Cosmic Invasion later this year, and then next year we're getting Wolverine and that Marvel Tōkon fighting game, which sadly wasn't at this show. That's going to be hella fun, and I mean, Also, in terms of Marvel, I mean, Thunderbolts was good. I haven't seen Fantastic Four yet, but I heard really good things about it. And next year we're getting Spider-Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday. Chat, is Marvel back? Like, I've been really cynical about Marvel over the last few years, with some rare exceptions, but I think I'm kind of starting to feel that excitement again for Marvel, and I'm really happy about that. Maybe not to the degree I did before COVID, but suddenly I'm feeling like Marvel might be finding its footing again, and I'm very excited about that. Again, we do have to wait a bit for this game. It's not coming out till next fall, but I can wait. I'm just glad that we finally got to see more of it. But overall, yeah, this was a pretty weak show. I mean, in terms of first-party stuff, sure. Between Saros, Marvel Tōkon, and Wolverine, Sony definitely has some stuff to look forward to next year, and all of those games do look good, but again, I really don't like Sony's low-quantity, high-quality approach. I mean, yes, I like the high-quality part, but I'm not too big on the low-quantity approach. Like, Sony's already talking about the PlayStation 6, and it barely feels like the PS5 has started to hit its stride. Probably helps that a lot of its big, early, exclusive games were also on PS4, but you know what I mean. I mean, again, I'm not worried about Sony or anything, because between those games I mentioned and the fact that Ghost of Yotei is coming out, like, this week, I'm pretty sure, there's stuff to look forward to on that front. But when it comes to state of plays, because they're not huge deals, they're not PlayStation showcases necessarily, it really comes down to what kind of third-party and indie games are here that can create hype. And unfortunately, there just weren't that many here. I mean, I know that part is really a matter of personal taste, but for me, there really wasn't much to, like, ooh and ah at or get super hype over. Obviously, again, I don't think a bad show has me worried about Sony or the future of PlayStation or anything like that. If anything, I think the one console whose future I'm most worried about is Xbox. But this was a pretty weak show, and I mean, I would love to live in a world where Sony can have a yearly lineup of first-party games with as many games as, like, Nintendo, where they're putting out games at a much more consistent rate while keeping up with their typical quality. I know I've kind of preached that in several videos at this point, but it's just something that I feel I constantly need to say. So yeah, not a very good show, unfortunately. It's not like it had me, like, getting a migraine or anything like that. I have seen worse gaming showcases in the past, but this one was just really weak, especially coming off of two state of plays that were actually pretty good, one of which I thought was one of the best ones they've done. This one was kind of weak. If I had to give it a grade, it would be like a D+ to a C-. Just really not that much to be crazy hype about. I mean, Saros looks cool, that Chronoscript game looks awesome, and I'm very excited for Wolverine, but yeah, this was a show that didn't really have much else to be, like, head over heels about. Still waiting for the day where we get a proper PlayStation showcase. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But that's just my opinion on the state of play. What did you guys think about it? Did you love it more than I did? Did you hate it way more than I did? Were you completely indifferent toward it? What are the games you're most excited for from the show? And I guess the question of the video will be, what kind of first-party games do you want to see out of Sony? Like, what do you want to see them do with some of their first-party games in the future? I'll tell you one thing I want. Get away from the live service games. They clearly haven't been going well for Sony. And I would love to see more games that are as creative as Astro Bot. Like, that game is one of my favorites of all time. I would love to see more games with that level of creativity. Not to say that their other games aren't creative, but you know what I mean. Things that are a little weirder, not things that are just like AAA blockbuster movies, essentially. Whatever your thoughts and opinions are, though, leave them down in the comments below. Let's keep this civil and have some fun as we like to do. If you guys want to hit like and subscribe and support some of my other ventures that I have linked in the description, thank you. If not, it's no big deal. I totally understand. And yeah, now I'm going to try to really start editing that video on my favorite TV shows growing up. It's been sitting on my laptop for what feels like a month now. I filmed it before the Nintendo Direct, so there's probably a part of the video where I say, like, oh, my next video will be on the Nintendo Direct. Life has just been really crazy, and anxiety has been really crazy, but I'm doing what I can to manage it, don't worry. And even if that video takes a while, like I said, I've got a music review, a movie review, and a game review coming this week, and obviously the short form content is going to be packed for the rest of this year. So you'll still be seeing this face and you'll still be seeing some content out of me. It just may not be long form stuff, but obviously at the end of the year, you'll get the 10 years later video, you'll get my favorite games video, and you'll get my albums I didn't review video. If not the very end of the year, it might be early next year, but either way, you'll be seeing this face again very, very soon. So stay tuned for more videos, but until next time, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.